Being a lifelong learner is one of the most important traits to being a to being a great occupational therapy practitioner. We don't leave school knowing everything, and even after 5, 10, even 20 years in practice, we still should be learning new things every day. With every podcast episode that I do, I'm constantly learning, but my latest episode with Amelia really got my brain going. If you haven't listened to her episode yet, it's titled Navigating Life with Cancer-Related Lymphedema, which can be found at otforlife.com/76. Also, all the resources or anything mentioned in this episode or any other episode can be found at otforlife.com. That's OT, the number 4, LYFE.com. If you're interested in occupational therapy, this is the place for you. This show aims to explore our profession by sharing who we are and what we do. Because for us, occupational therapy is more than just a job. Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to OT for Life. Like I said in the intro, being a lifelong learner is super important. I totally remember hearing that when I was in school and thinking, yeah, I get it. We'll always be learning. But then I thought, once I became a practitioner, everything would just kind of fall into place and the learning would probably slow down. But boy, was I wrong. The more I learn, the more I realize I still have so much more to learn. You know that saying, you don't know what you don't know until you do? Well, it's totally true. Every day at work, I get faced with a new diagnosis, a new area of need, a new occupation that needs to be addressed, or maybe a new symptom that just popped up. And that's after 11 years being in the field of occupational therapy. When I connected with Amelia, aka the lymph therapist, on Instagram, I knew that I had to bring her on the show and shed some light on the lymphatic system. I remember learning about the lymphatic system in school, but honestly, I really hadn't thought too much about it since then. I mean, it's just kind of one of the systems that runs in the background, and one that I don't really officially feel like I address working on specifically in pediatrics. I know a lot of the movement stuff that I educate my patients and their families on indirectly addresses the lymphatic system, but it's not something that I find myself explaining much or really even thinking much about these days. But during my chat with Amelia, I remembered a client that I had a few years ago and how his mother was super concerned about swelling in one of his upper extremities. He had had it since birth, and it never seemed to bug him when moving or using his arm. But visually, you could see it. Being that I knew very little about the lymphatic system, I referred out to other specialists. I mean, what else could I really do? I had mom reach out to her pediatrician and a few other doctors. I know the physical therapist took a look at it, and everyone seemed to think that everything was fine. But mom was still concerned. If only I had known Amelia at that point. Well, okay, actually, I did know her as we went to OT school together. But we had lost contact, and I had no idea that she specialized in the lymphatic system until this past April. At the time that this case first presented to me, I honestly didn't even think that lymphatic management was an OT thing, as silly as that sounds. But after learning from Amelia and hearing all the ways that we can address it, I know better. For me, this really just hit home the importance of lifelong learning and networking with other professionals, because you never quite know when something they say might be the missing piece to a puzzle for one of your clients. Never stop learning. Never stop collaborating with occupational therapy practitioners and other professionals. I mean, it's one of the big reasons that I started this podcast and continue to do it to this day. It's also a big reason that I keep my show broad and not laser focused on one specific topic. I think it's important to hear from different practitioners across different practice areas. We can all take something away from every discussion that is had and apply it to the area that we work in. And that's the beauty in being a lifelong learner. So I urge you, if you're listening to this and only listen to specific episodes based on your practice area, stop that. Just stop and listen to all of them. Like one of my absolute favorite podcasters, Dr. Shantae Cofield, aka the Movement Maestro, like she says, listen around the edges. There is always something that we can learn from a guest, even if their experience or practice area is completely different than yours. You just have to listen to what they say and then apply it to your own life and your own practice. But trust me when I say you can learn something from anyone. So open up your mind and listen around the edges of what's being said. My next takeaway is an obvious one. It has to do with realizing the importance of the lymphatic system and how neglecting to do so can lead to some major health implications. Amelia said it right in the beginning of the episode. The lymphatic system is quite often overlooked and undervalued. But now there's a ton of research coming out, and it's showing correlations between poor lymphatic drainage and the potential for health impairments later in life. Like, for instance, what she mentioned in the episode, Alzheimer's disease. And it makes sense. If your waste system isn't draining properly, then there's going to be a buildup of waste and toxins in your body. And a buildup of toxins in your body can contribute to health problems if left untreated. In talking with Amelia, I realized that so much of what we educate our clients on is about the importance of diet and exercise. It's about the importance of movement and continuing to promote an active lifestyle despite any disorders, accidents, or other health impairments that affect our clients, and how a lack of movement can lead to bigger health issues. Remember my chat with Kim Loak from the OT Way? In that episode, she shared so many stats about how the lack of movement impacts our bodies and how movement across the lifespan has positive health benefits. If you haven't given that episode a listen yet, go check it out. It's episode 71, titled, Can Movement Change the World? Recently, I went through an extremely stressful few months, and I know I'm not the only one. With all that's going on in the world and the pandemic, I know that we've all been put under some massive amounts of stress. And for me, my body did not handle it well. I wasn't sleeping well, which led to difficulty exercising to my full potential. And along with that, my diet went out the window. I started getting significant pain in my neck, which is pretty normal for me when I get stressed. But this was a whole nother level. And then I also had this horrific pain in my right forearm. Hello? Anxiety. I know that's what was causing it. Well, I reached out to Amelia, and she had just the trick. She ended up doing a 7-day self-myofascial release challenge, which jump-started my system. The challenge itself included some deep breathing exercises, a pelvis release, stretches for the back, legs, neck, chest, wrist, and hands, and even had some amazing, absolutely amazing facial releases. After focusing on some self-care for a week and combined that with some other manual therapy techniques, yep, I bought a massage gun and definitely spent some extra time on my foam roller. I have to admit that I started feeling better almost instantly. If you want to check out Amelia's 7-day self-myofascial release challenge, head on over to her Instagram profile at @the_lymph_therapist. And I'll also make sure to link to the first day in the show notes. Going through this stressful and kind of pain-induced time also made me realize the importance of continuing to do the 30-day movement challenge. We are now on month 5, which is absolutely crazy to say. And that has been 30 days of movement straight for 5 months. We haven't taken a day off. We haven't skipped any days. The first month was burpees. Then we did squats. Then planks, then lunges, and now this month, we're having a little bit of fun, and we are doing animal walks. I have to admit that everyone is getting super creative so far, and even getting their friends and families in on the action. We've had bear crawls and penguin waddles, scorpion kicks, inchworms, and seal slides, and we're only just over 1 week in. It is so fun every day to see what my fellow #accountabilities come up with. If you want in on the challenge, feel free to join us, since we've got about another 3 weeks to go. You can message me on Instagram at ot.4.lyfe, and I'll fill you in on all the deets. My final takeaway from my chat with Amelia had to do with the comment she made about our role as practitioners. She said, and I quote, "In a way, cancer is a big trauma in your life, and it's okay for you to grieve through it, and it's okay for you to process through it, and to know that you aren't the same anymore as you were before. And they might not be ready the first time. They may be ready a year later. But I think our role as a therapist is not to shove down all the rules. Like, hey, this is lymphedema. This is all the things that you have to change. But rather provide them with a map. This is how you can navigate your new chronic disease called lymphedema. And you can choose which way you want to go. And I'm here to guide you." End quote. I love how she said it's our role as an occupational therapy practitioner to provide a map to our clients, not just to throw information at them. It is our role to give them the tools that they may need and then allow them to choose how they want to proceed. It was so beautifully said and reminded me of something that Alexis Joelle said in her episode 39. She said that our clients are the experts in their lives and that they will show us what the perfect intervention is for them. It's not just up to us as practitioners. It's up to our clients to guide us where they want to go. I'll link to Alexis's episode in the show notes if you want to go and take a listen. I really think knowing our role as a practitioner is so important to our practice. Knowing how we can best help our clients will set them up for a successful therapy journey. So there you have it, my 3 takeaways from my episode with Amelia. And seriously, how pivotal are they to any occupational therapy practitioner? And here they are, one more time for all the people in the back. Number 1, being a lifelong learner and the importance of networking with other professionals. Number 2, the importance of movement and the lymphatic system. And number 3, knowing our role as therapy practitioners. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you like these monologue episodes, hit me up and let me know. And if you have any takeaways that you would like to share, head on over to the OT for Life community and find the post for episode 76. I'll link directly to it in the show notes. Also, don't forget about this month's question of the month. If you submit a voicemail, I will feature it in an upcoming podcast episode. All you have to do is go to otforlife.com/question of the month to see the question and submit your response. I'm excited to share all the fabulous responses that I have received so far. So if you want to hear your voice on an upcoming episode of the OT for Life podcast, then you better call in with your answers. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you hear, here are 3 easy ways you can help support the show. 1, head over to otforlife.com to find out more about any resources discussed on the show. Remember, that's OT4LYFE.com. 2, share the podcast with a friend, colleague, or anyone interested in occupational therapy. 3, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And while you're there, be sure to leave a review saying how much you love the show. Thanks again. I'll catch you next time, OT for Lifers.